Hello, I'm Pastor Kemp of the Antioch Missionary Baptist Church in San Antonio, Texas. I've been asked to say a little bit about the issues concerning police brutality, the killing of African American men, and then the subsequent killing recently in Dallas of police officers by a young African American man. This is part of what I consider a national tragedy. It's not just me. I believe there are other people around the nation and around the world who are looking upon this issue in the United States as a national tragedy. It's a national tragedy because, as I've said before, this percolating cauldron of discontent between police officers and persons of color has essentially boiled over, and the awful results are now spilling out so that everybody can see. It is an awful tragedy when African American men and young boys are targeted simply because of the color of their skin, are racially profiled, stopped simply because of driving while black, and then subsequently subject to physical violence and even death. It's an awful tragedy because when we see it as African American men and women, we are all familiar with having been in that position, and it causes us sadness and grief and then anger. Unfortunately, sometimes when we become very strident in our responses to this kind of situation, and admittedly so, that there are persons who are affected by that conversation, who may have not the strength of character or mental strength to handle that kind of issue. And so they may break. They may say things that are insensitive. Or as we saw in the case of Dallas, Texas, they may take up weapons and shoot people that don't look like them, people for whom they have disdain simply because of violence in the community. It's an unfortunate thing. It's an awful thing. When I saw it on Friday night, I was just completely dejected, grieving, and completely in pain, because I saw that what was being done to innocent policemen in Dallas, who had absolutely nothing to do with what happened in Baton Rouge, what happened in St. Paul, was just appalling. But at the same time, I understood some of the grief, some of the discomfort and anger that a young man might have when he sees his brothers getting shot by policemen, and seemingly there are no consequences for that. So I understand, but I certainly cannot condone someone taking a weapon and shooting innocent people. That is never the response that should be taken. I believe that it's going to take love, and it's going to take reaching out, and it's going to take a consistent effort to understand one another and stop fearing one another. I believe the problem has occurred because we're afraid of one another. Police officers are afraid of black men and shooting them rather than giving them an opportunity to surrender. And black men afraid of police officers and responding in ways that will put themselves in danger because they don't want to be disrespected. I got it. But we have to be careful that we always keep the loving posture of Christ ever present in our lives. And we love one another, we understand one another, and we respect one another. one of the major problems with policing in 2016 is that there are people in the police forces who have no sensitivity to cultural diversity, and they're afraid. So rather than holding the weapon or leaving the weapon in its holster, they pull it out and they shoot before they think. So I'm hoping that as we go forward with prayer and love, that there will be persons recruited to police units around the country who understand cultural diversity, who are willing to give people, particularly people of color, the benefit of the doubt before they fire a weapon or before they use a taser. And that over time, and hopefully soon, we'll learn to love one another and stop fearing one another. That's just my personal opinion.